The Sigma male doesn't exist. But the epidemic of isolated, lonely men who desperately need to believe in the Sigma male is very real, and someone is profiting from that belief right now. Most people think Sigma male content is just harmless self-help, independent lone wolf philosophy. But here's what they're missing. The entire mythology is built on psychological loneliness, repackaged as enlightenment. And the worst part? The men buying into it have no idea they're being isolated deeper. Let's rewind. Around 2010, alpha-beta male psychology went mainstream. Fit, dominant, aggressive equals alpha. Submissive, weak, needy equals beta. The framework was simple, brutal, and it worked perfectly as a sales mechanism. Suddenly, millions of men realized, I'm not alpha, I'm beta. That realization felt like social death. Fitness gurus sold them how to become alpha programs. Dating coaches sold them alpha male tactics. Self-help influencers sold them the dream of dominance. But here's the problem that nobody talks about. Most men can't actually become alpha. The framework requires a hierarchy. It is a system intentionally designed so that someone has to be at the bottom. So what happened? The Sigma male archetype emerged around 2015 to 2016. A third category. Not alpha, not beta, above the game entirely. Too enlightened to compete. Too self-aware to play. Sounds perfect, right? It was designed to. It was designed to make men feel powerful while they were actually becoming more isolated. Section 1. The psychological trap. Here is the underlying psychology. The Sigma male mythology is a cognitive shortcut to resolve deep psychological pain. You internalize that dominance equals worth. You measure yourself against that standard. You come up short. That creates psychological pain, shame, inadequacy, failure. Your brain needs to resolve that contradiction. So it offers a solution. You don't need to compete because you've transcended competition. The thing that felt like failure becomes a choice, a sign of superiority. The pain vanishes. Suddenly, you're not a loser for not being alpha. You're enlightened for refusing to be alpha. But here's where it gets dark. This identity is completely dependent on isolation. Think about it. An alpha male's identity requires dominance over others. A beta's identity requires submission to a hierarchy. But a sigma's identity requires what? Separation, aloneness, rejection of community. The sigma male identity requires that you be isolated to maintain it. The moment you genuinely connect with people, the moment you let people in, the moment you admit you need community, your Sigma identity collapses. Because it was built on needing no one. So what happens? You unconsciously keep people at a distance. You reject vulnerability. You become hyper-vigilant about your independence. You curate an image of being unaffected, unbothered, alone by choice. And you spend hours online in Sigma male forums, Discord servers, and subreddits, talking to other isolated men about how independent you are. That's not independence, that's a gilded cage. Section 2. Who benefits from this lie? Now here's what I need you to understand. Sigma male content exists because it's profitable. The ecosystem is massive. YouTube channels with millions of subscribers, e-courses, coaching programs, Discord communities, podcasts, all selling variations of the same core message. You're special. You're enlightened. You don't need anyone. Buy my product to learn the secrets. This industry is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's built on one simple fact. Isolated men are desperate customers. Think about the profile. A man who feels rejected by his community, who's been told he's a failure for not being alpha, who's convinced himself he's above needing people. That man is in pain, and pain is profitable. The Sigma male mythology doesn't just isolate men, It creates the psychological conditions for men to keep seeking solutions, keep buying courses, keep joining communities that reinforce the isolation. It's a perfect economic machine. The product creates the problem it claims to solve. And the most insidious part? The content creators telling you to reject the system are themselves the system. They're selling you a framework that makes you distrust community, distrust vulnerability, distrust other people. And then they're selling you their community, their course, their framework as a solution. You're trading one hierarchy for another. The alpha-beta hierarchy for the sigma-enlightened hierarchy. And the people at the top of the second one are getting rich off your isolation. Section 3. The masculine crisis underneath. But here's what I want you to understand, and I mean this with no mockery. The Sigma male mythology exists because there's a real crisis underneath it. The actual problem isn't that men are too weak or too beta. The actual problem is that modern society has collapsed traditional structures without replacing them with anything meaningful. A man used to know his role, his value, where he fit in, whether he was a craftsman, a farmer, a merchant, a warrior. There was a place, there was community, there was purpose that didn't depend on dominance. That's gone now. So modern men are searching for identity in a void. And when they find the alpha, beta, sigma framework, it fills that void temporarily. It tells them who they are, it gives them a story, it gives them a tribe online. The Sigma male mythology isn't the problem, it's a symptom of deeper male loneliness and purposelessness. The real solution isn't to shame men for needing the mythology, it's to understand that the need is valid. The response is just misdirected. Men need community, purpose, connection, recognition of their value that doesn't depend on dominating others. But the Sigma male framework teaches them to reject those things, to see vulnerability and connection as weakness, to mistake isolation for independence, and that's the trap. Not the belief itself, the isolation it creates. So here's what's actually happening. Millions of men are being systematically isolated under the guise of enlightenment. The Sigma male isn't real, but the loneliness epidemic that created the need for the Sigma male, that's absolutely real, and it's being weaponized by influencers, by e-course creators, by anyone with a financial incentive to keep men isolated and desperate. True independence doesn't require rejecting community. True strength doesn't require proving dominance. And real power is never built on isolation. The men who actually have those things, they're not spending hours posting about being Sigma males online. They're living. If you're caught in this cycle, if you're identifying as Sigma, if you're consuming Sigma male content, if you're keeping people at distance to maintain that identity, understand what's happening. You're not rebelling against a system. You're being trapped by one. And the escape route isn't a different male archetype. It's genuine human connection. If this resonates with you, if you see how these mythologies manipulate behavior, how isolation gets repackaged as power, how manipulation hides in self-help language, subscribe. Every week we're breaking down the psychological frameworks that trap people, how manipulation disguises itself as enlightenment, how loneliness gets weaponized. Next week, we're going deeper into where this starts. Growing up with a narcissistic parent. Does this to your brain? It drops June 12th. Because this isn't about Sigma males, this is about understanding the psychological vulnerabilities that make myths like this so seductive in the first place. See you then.